Okay, the Rebbe is on Ledodi. Well, it's Chelik Dalid. We're on page Shin Samachei Eis Hey. Okay, the Rebbe is explaining the Rebbe's mashul of the Melech Basada. It's actually in the Sinas Kayach, and even though it's coming Momaila, but it's still the Aveda of the Jew. The stimulation comes from the Jew, and he says, why is it relevant? This whole thing that the king smiles, mad upon him, no. And Mekabel Kulam B'Sev upon him, your face, he receives everybody with good countenance, and he gives everybody upon him. Shechaka actually means like a loose face. It's not tight, uptight, it's like smiling, loose and everything else. So he says, why is that relevant in the Mashal? So he starts explaining that this Gimel, the revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Rachma, which is revealed in Elul, is two things. Number one, and it's in order to get the revelation of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, which is the ultimate revelation of Kedusha, so you need the preparation of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachma of Elul. And he says, secondly, is that the Yud Gimel Midas Rachma of Elul effect, that even a person who's out in the midbar, not only in the Sada, but even in the midbar, is also coming closer. Okay. So he says now, he adds in the Maamar, not only Mekabel Kulam Mesever upon him your face, but he says, in addition to that, Mad upon him Sheikha Kaisel Kulam. He shows everybody like again, Sheikha actually means loosened up. What's the difference between receiving everybody with a smiley face, or giving, or showing? Lashon mekabel neifel al davar sheyashin mikaydem lefnei shekibel v'u mekabel as a davar. We mentioned this last time. I mean, this I think these two learned what we learned. When you say I receive it, that means it's there and I'm getting it. Receiving means I'm just changing ownership. The thing existed, but it was by you. Now I'm receiving it from you. But mada panim shecha kushapanim shecha kashaloi, meaning the king's mada panim sheyayash gam lefnei shemada umado megala esim lezolosi. Mada panim shecha case is a much deeper level. That means this level that the king had. That is what he's revealing to the Jew. He's not only receiving everybody, but now he's doing something new. Meaning, after the Rebbe explains that the king receives everybody with save upon him your face, meaning this that the king receives them means the Jews are coming to him. In other words, accepting everybody is second level. They're coming, and then he's receiving them. If they wouldn't come, he can't receive them. But the first level that the king accepts everybody, smiling, that means that they want to come, it's coming from them, and now that they're coming, the king accepts it. But they saw for the Madapan Sheikha Kasuk Shemis Eder Berotzen Lasis Tshuva. What happens is the second aspect is like this. When the people decide to come to the king, which in other words means they're coming to do tshuva, they want to be close to the king, and then he shows them this enjoyment from above, the level of Tainig da Melech Atzmei. Okay, and he says, let me read this and I'll explain it. The Tainug Zeh, this pleasure that the king is showing to the people after they decide to come and do tshuva, is l'mayla me'atainug upon him yofis, that tshuva awakens. Okay, let me explain it outside before we see it inside. When a person decides to come to do tshuva, okay, that tshuva, you can imagine the son of the king went way out, way off, and like the Baditcher is marshal of Shafar, right? The king sent that son away to become a better person. The king forgot all about the palace. He forgot the language. He forgot everything. He comes home. They don't even want to let him in because they don't recognize him. He's like a beggar. So what does he do? He goes underneath the king's window and he starts crying. And the king recognizes the cry. So the king realizes, it's my son, I got to let him in. Even though he doesn't look like the son, he doesn't act like the son, but it's the crying of the heart that the king is accepting him. So you can imagine the pleasure the king has from the son doing tshuva, coming back home. He says this, that's Bekabel Panim, Sefer Panim Yafis. The king comes into the field. It's, so to speak, the power for the Jew to come to do tshuva. The Jew comes to do tshuva. They're going out to the field. Even from the midbar, they're going out to the field to meet the king. So you can imagine the enjoyment that the king has from the fact that the people are coming out to meet him. That means the concept of tshuva. Then the Alter Rebbe adds, the king shows to them a level of tainug, of pleasure, that is even greater than the tainug that tshuva awakens. Tshuva awakens a very deep level of pleasure, but that's still something awakened through an act of tshuva. So it is still connected to the act of tshuva based on the tshuva. That's how much tainug, pleasure, the king is showing to the child. But now when it says, Mara panim shecha kais lukulam, what the king is actually revealing a greater level of enjoyment, of tainug, of pleasure, that even that tshuva awakens. And he says, Umevor b'makom acher, the sheich hashcheik panim shecha kais, who is ba'atzmus hatainug, is in the essence, explained in another place. Where does he bring over here? In the middle of his Maamar, that panim shecha kais comes in the essence of pleasure, which is built in murkav, not composed of anything, comprised of anything, shelemayla mi'atainug abah hidei davar, which is even greater than tainug that comes through something. Yeah. No. The level of panim shecha kais is an etzem tainug, which is greater than tainug that comes through something, even through tshuva. In other words, like this, there's pleasure that comes when we do Torah mitzvahs. Hashem has pleasure, right? There's pleasure, we do Torah mitzvahs. A greater level of that is tainug that comes through tshuva. Because when a tzaddik, so to speak, does Torah mitzvahs, yeah, Hashem has pleasure from it, but not the same pleasure that the kid that went way off and comes home. It's a much greater pleasure, because it's something more new. It's newer. It's something from an extreme. It's something unique. Yeah? Then there's, here the Rebbe is explaining, there's a third level of tainug. That's the level of tainug that Rebbe explains, which is even higher than the tainug that comes through tshuva.
Originally, all tshuva is going to cause punishment.
Huh?
All tshuva. It's going to cause Hashem to have his smile on us.
Correct.
That's one level.
Then the second level, Hashem gives us a gift from above that has nothing to do with what you did. That is the tshuva that you did. He's revealing to us a relationship. Again, he's smiling, he's talking about relationships, connection. Okay? Tainug, you could have, I want something. Wanting is, rotzein, is you're drawn to something. That's why rotzen is the same letters as sinor, which means a pipe. Pipe is connecting two things. If I want those tissues, yeah, that means I'm drawn to the tissues. Tainug, pleasure, is me by myself. It's not, nothing is making it. It's my pleasure. I'm having the pleasure, right? But there's a pleasure, meaning that's a relationship. Like yichid is tainug. In fact, that's why Shabbos is greater than Yom Tif. Yom Tov is in Yom V'semachtu b'chagecha, simcha. Shabbos, the pasuk says, "V'karasa la Shabbos eineg." Shabbos is the level of tainug, which is a much greater level than simcha. Simcha is caused by something. Tainug is, I have pleasure. That's me. It's the essence. Right? That means Shabbos is a greater connection of a Jew to Hashem than Yom Tov is. Correct? Simcha has to be caused by something outside of me. You can't just be happy with nothing causing it. But here there's a level of tainug that's even higher, not only than the level of tainug that Torah mitzvahs cause, not only the tainug that tshuva causes, which is even greater than the tainug of Torah mitzvahs. And that's why we learned. Why in the world does Hashem allow a Jew to sin? Hashem doesn't want us to sin, right? Hashem doesn't want a child. You don't want your child to be torn away from you. So why would a father allow his child, if he could stop him, why would he allow it to happen? If Hashem didn't want us to sin, which he doesn't, why does he allow us to sin? Again, after the fact, not before the fact. Before the fact, you're not supposed to sin. But now a Jew sins, so why did Hashem allow that to happen? I mean, we ate something not kosher. Yeah, Hashem could have closed the mouth, so we can't open it. There's so many things he could have done that he could have stopped us from doing what we're not supposed to be doing. So what's the answer? Because after the fact, why did Hashem allow the person to sin? Because Hashem wants the person to have a better relationship, a deeper relationship, a greater relationship with Hashem to the level of tshuva. Sometimes a person can blow that also. Not do tshuva, then you're worse off. But Hashem is giving a person a chance to reach a level. So that's the level Makabel Kulam B'Sefer Ponim Yofis. The king comes out into the field. He's not making you come. He's just going out into the field. He's giving you the koyach, now you can come and do tshuva. That's Makabel Kulam B'Sefer Ponim Yofis. Then the Alter Rebbe says, the Rebbe is explaining, the Alter Rebbe adds a different dimension to it. Then now the king, the Jews did tshuva. So therefore he's Mekabel Pesever Panim Yofis. Now they're coming to him. When they come to him, that's when he smiles at them. That means that's the relationship with Hashem to the Jew when they do tshuva. Then he says there's even a deeper level. Hashem shows them a level of Panim Zoichakais which is even greater than the level of the Tainuk through tshuva. And they can cause the to learn.
Don't you reach this level of closeness when you call the 13 attributes of mercy?
Do you reach that level? No. This is a deeper level than the 13 attributes of mercy. The king coming out into the field is the revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy. That stimulates the Jew to come. Now he comes and Hashem reveals it's even greater than Yugimum Mitzvah. It's a deeper level of Alukus. So he says now like this, Yeshleimar, the Inyan Panim Sheichakes Banim Shol, this that Alter Rebbe speaks about Panim Sheichakes. Who tainu the Lamaila Shabi Yisrael Atzman. Okay? And the Rebbe writes in the order here, he says there's Torah mitzvahs, there's a level of tshuva. Then he says this level of Mada Panim Sheichakes is the essence. He says this is the level within the Jew, Shabi Yisrael Atman, the Yidden themselves, which is even higher than the Tainug of fulfilling Torah mitzvahs, even the Tainug which is Avedis HaTshuva, the Tainug Zehu Ba'atzmas, this is the essence of Hashem with the essence of the Jew. In other words, again, Tshuva is still you're doing something. Yeah, you're doing something pretty deep because it's above time and place. It's coming from the essence of the person. But it's still something that's causing something to happen. It's tshuva that's causing the connection. There's a level of the essence of the Jew, by the way, which is revealed on Yom Kippur. The whole Yom Kippur is tshuva. But what happens at Ne'ilah, with the fifth tefillah, which corresponds with Yechidah Shebenefesh, that's the connection that there is no sin. There is no disconnection. There's Hashem in the Jew. That's the level. And the Rebbe is going to explain, but l'chayre, this is only an Elul, all this. But l'chayre, that should be Tishrei, not Elul, that this Ma'arapanim Sheikha Kes L'Kulam, l'chayre, is Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur. And yet he says this is in the month of Elul. The Rebbe is going to ask and explain that. He says, Vayidei Shema'arapanim Sheikha Kes Shatayim, V'zam Mizgalon La'adam, who awakens in the will to do tshuva. That's like you look into water, you see your own image. It gets to a point that the person's essence is one with Hashem, not because of tshuva, not because of Torah mitzvahs. It is what it is. And that because, like it says, what's Mesiras? It can't be any other way. When Al Rebbe said a Jew, not he nishta will, nishta ken, a Jew not he wants, not he could be separated from Hashem. He doesn't want, it's one level. And then Al Rebbe nisha ken, it's impossible for a Jew to be separated from Hashem, because a Jew and Hashem is the same thing. They're one chelak alaka. The Jew is part of Hashem. It can't be any other way. Okay, to be continued.